Namaste! Hello everyone, this is Hakate Zen here, and I have a very important video for you guys today. This video is specifically for the Twin Flame community, okay? We're going to go through and the principles of the Twin Flame journey and what the journey itself is all about, okay? So, Namaste, excuse me, I'm going to smoke a cigarette real quick. And in the meantime, I'm going to light this green candle I had gotten from a metaphysical store up the street. But it's been attuned specifically for the heart chakra, so I'm going to go ahead and torch that. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the music, but if so, what we're listening to is Kaminada, Gateways of Consciousness, and we're starting off on track 3, the Yum Factor. Alright. So, I've been a part of the Twin Flame community since about 2013. And because yesterday in the Twin Flame Souls Journey group, someone had asked a beautiful question. And they asked, how did you get into this community today? And, you know, that really had me thinking, like, I mean, that's a really just a great question. Kudos to whoever asked that. So, with my story, I met who I call my guide spark, because anyone who is familiar with me in the Twin Flame Facebook online groups, we know that I am someone who's had multiple flames. And you should also be aware of that I'm someone who's trying to update and upgrade the information that we have today on flames. Now, that's not what I'm speaking about today whatsoever at all, okay? This is all based on the original context of information. But I do want to say my story and how I did get stumbled into this community. So, I'm going to start in the middle of the story, and then we're going to backtrack. Okay. So, I ended up looking up Twin Flames the night after I met my guide spark, Bosch. And so, well, the night that we met, it was the first party in my life I'd ever went to. First and foremost, I was underage, and it was at a club. It was a coworker's birthday party. And he really wanted to take me home. See, now what was strange, though, is that I finally got to meet this mystery guy. Now, Bosch had popped into my job like 3 times before I had officially met him at this party. And I have to say, every single time he popped into my store, he grasped every fragment of my attention. It was, I knew him. There's this drawing energy towards him. So, anyways, at the night of the party, he really, really wanted to take me home. And I'm born on the week of empathy. I'm a sun Cancer and a moon Scorpio, which is a very high intuitive, psychic, whatever, combination. So, I had already felt like there was some, like, comfort. There's stuff I felt comfortable with him, and since it was my first time participating in being in young adult activities, when I was growing up, I never really partied at all, actually. I smoked a lot of weed and hung out in the woods, but I never partied. I never really drank. So it was a new experience for me. And anyways, I cave in, and I let him take me right home. So we go and we drop his friend off. And in the meantime, like, the degree of comfortability with a complete stranger. Now, mind you, I've been sheltered a lot in my life, and I'm a very deep, sensitive person. I don't just open up easily, nor to anyone. But this degree of comfort, like we knew each other, was definitely there. And what's crazy is his eyes are brown. And this happened a few times after I'd seen him from this first night, but his eyes were this silver, ominous, like gray color. It was amazing. And I remember we had stopped at the gas station, and he was like, "Do you feel it?" And he puts his hand up like this, and he was like, "Put your hand up to mine." And he was like, "Do you feel that?" As our hands are like this, the energy. And yes, most definitely. So anyways, nothing happened that night. I went home, and well, we talked a lot, but besides that, I just went home. And well, I was with my high school sweetheart at the time. I wasn't allowed to have friends. I wasn't allowed to go out and party, and this was just on a whim, and he had actually let me go. And well, we were together for 3 years, and it was a really toxic relationship. Him and I both didn't have any emotional support system in our families. We were also the eldest children. We had like a lot of responsibility, and just we were really responsible people. And so that was a dead-end relationship. And it was after a year and a half of it, but out of us both being cancers and not having proper emotional support, we clung to each other for dear life. And that's a really thing for us, a lot, because I don't know if I would have ever had the strength within myself to actually have left that relationship. But when I met Vosh, and when I had this experience, it showed me that there was so much more to life than I thought I knew. And I knew that I wasn't in love with my high school sweetheart, because if I wouldn't have been as excited as Vosh made me when we first met. And I did, finally. I left him 3 days later, and that was that. Now, in the meantime, I was like, afterwards, I was like, what the hell? Like, that really happened? Like, I can't believe this happened. And I go online, and I start looking into, like, certain types of connections, spiritual connections, types of meetings, and I come across the twin flames. And so what was interesting, now this is where we're going to go back some. This is where we start in the middle. Now what was interesting was before I even started that job, and yeah, like 3 months before I started that job, I started seeing 1111 everywhere, all the time. It was like, it was driving me nuts. And I'm like telling my family, I'm like, do you guys see this? Like, what's going on? Like, what, dude, what the fuck? My favorite time was, I went to Michael's Arts and Crafts, and I actually had this coupon for like 80% off or something, and I got these Prismacolor markers. Anyways, my change was $11.11, and I was like, what the fuck? So then after, I started seeing 222 for like 3 weeks straight, and I didn't see 111, it was just 222. And then for another 3 weeks, I saw 333 for like 3 weeks straight, and then 444. And this kept happening up until I got to 999. And about this time was when I started working at where I was working at, which was Crab Shack. So when I had stumbled into the twin flame concept, and I'll say concept, I mean, at the time, my like 18-year-old self, I definitely thought this was very real, especially on the fact I was an atheist. I didn't believe in anything at all, really. Like, well, a part of me feels like I was calling myself an atheist because I was just so angry at my mother for abandoning me, and I didn't believe that there could have been a God. But I did have interactions with my mom and grandma, my great grandma. They were close to me. So as I'm older and I look back at my story, I see like how that kind of contradicts itself. How I identified as an atheist, yet I believed in angels. So I was wrong when I was younger. But anyways, so when I came into the twin flame lore, and it also expressed and explained this number phenomenon, the 1111 symbolism, and that is what is called the twin flame symbol. So that was how I had gotten into this. Now, I will say, likewise, Vosh and I were the same for each other. We were both in just dead-end relationships with people that we really just shouldn't have entertained for so long. And we both, it took him longer than it took me, but he had a little bit more complex situation than I had. And we'll go into all this. Vosh, I'm so fucking sorry, but I really don't think you give a shit at this point. You watched me grow from day one. And here we are. But I have there's no other way but tell the whole story, word for word, how it all happened. So that my community, the twin flame community, can understand the claims that I have, because I feel very serious about the claims that I have. because I took this very seriously when I first came into this in about 2013. Now, I wasn't always the best. I really wasn't. I wasn't, see, later my polar and I are the opposite. Because when I was growing up, I wasn't good at all. I was bad. I was bad as fuck, actually. And I'm not gonna lie. Like, I needed attention. I wasn't getting attention from my mother. And when I was 8, my mom had my sister, and I loved my sister to death. And I've healed all this stuff, and me and my mom now are back to talking, and she's involved in my life. But I will say, when my sister was born, my mom didn't have much regards for me. She put me to the side and just gave Peyton all this love and attention and affection and stuff, and care and nurturing, where, and I at 8 years old, was helping take care of my little sister. I'd stay home from school to take care of my sister. There's times, like, mom would sleep, and, I mean, I'm trying to do my homework, and I'm taking care of my little sister. Like, so I had to grow up really quick, and really young, and so I acted out a lot when I was younger, and I stole from my family, and I felt like shit about it for a very, very, very long time. And it wasn't until my Nana later told me that she understood my behavior when I was younger. And she said that it was a cry for help. And it took me a long time after Nana told me this for me to be able to accept it myself, because I beat myself up so much over my behavior. Okay, and I mean, like, it took a couple years after she told me that it wasn't my fault, that I was just doing what I could as a child, to try to fill the void, the needs that weren't being felt. So, anyways, I'm so really, really ashamed of a lot of the things I'd done when I was a child, but anyways. So, now when I came into immediately, day one of coming across the twin flame, and I will call it a lore, and I have for very many years. Call it twin flame lore. But that first day, it said that this is a divine love, divine romance, and in hindsight, that it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for the weak. And it's not for the people who don't have integrity and the people who aren't lazy. I had read that when you are having a twin flame experience, your karma is very important. And one of the first things outside of self-love, you have to learn to love yourself, self-worth, and self-respect, as well as unconditional love for all human beings. Unconditional love for all living creatures. Unconditional love for all. You know, that's the other big step. Okay. But the karma. Now that was something I had. When I had read that, I was like, oh fuck, like I'm fucked. And my background as a Cancer and a woman, we are the most traditional valued in the love, the home setting, the traditional just marriage and gender roles. Okay, like we're very traditional, and so I always wanted a family of my own. I always wanted to have that eternal love. So me coming across this at 18 years old was the turning point in my life. At that point, and I actually severed my ego. Okay, and I'm going to tell you that's a really bad thing. Okay, a lot of people try to do that in community, but I do not recommend it. I was severed from my ego until about 2018, and then it was re-intact, and it took for a whole year for me to balance it out, to get to the balance and wholeness that I am now. Okay, but so at that point in time in my life, I completely severed my whole ego. I recognized that the karma that I had done, I had to fix, and I had to restore, as well as I had understood that I needed to build good karma, and I needed to work on healing myself. But what was interesting was before I had even into this point in my life, before I had even gotten my first job, I had, what turned me into the person I am today, I love both my parents. I love them so much. I do. No matter whatever shit I have gone through as a kid. Okay, first of all, kids don't come with handbooks. Second of all, I would not be who I am today if I had a different background, if I had different parents. And I really love the woman that I am. I absolutely adore the person that I've become, that I'm constantly growing into. And so I have a lot to thank my parents, honestly. Even though my mom's lack of involvement for a good portion of my youth and young adulthood, I still see how I have her traits through epigenetics, or there's certain things that, like, so regardless, but I love my father. I love my father because my father has always gone above and beyond to take care of me. But my dad has suffered from, and anyone who knows him personally, anger issues. He's very aggressive. He has a short temper, and he has gotten a lot better. But I can't imagine. Now, it was hard when I moved with my dad when I was 14 years old. My mom basically just, like, got a new boyfriend who's now her husband, and I only saw her for like 5 minutes in the morning. And we lived in my aunt and uncle's house, and blah blah blah. Anyways, I can't imagine. I don't blame my father for the conflictions and the animosity that was between us when I first moved there, because my mom would only let me see him maybe every other weekend on top of that. So I didn't see him very much, one, and two, I was 14 years old. Okay, so I don't know, and he owns his own company. He's an entrepreneur, he's a contractor, and like he's a roughneck. So I don't blame him for not knowing how to deal with a hormonal teenage girl. But it wasn't easy, and it took many years for us to find a middle ground. So by the time I was like 17 years old, I had learned enough of my parents' youth to realize that they never healed from their childhood traumas or their childhood wounds. And that made them dysfunctional adults. And I knew at 17 years old that if I wanted to be a successful, healthy, functioning adult, that I had to start doing this inner work and healing of my youth. And I think maybe that's what allowed my experience to even transpire from the beginning, was that I had already started the inner work process. So a year later, when I came across it, the twin flame principles, I took them very seriously. I changed. I did a 180, 100%, because I wanted this love so bad. I wanted this. And with that being said, you can't be focused about your love life. Just please heed my warning on that. The more focus that you're wanting on trying to grab and hold this and obtain this love, the further you're really going to push it out and away from yourself and your life and your experience. Okay. So, karma, how you treat other people is how you will get treated. Now, being 2019, 6 years later down this path, I learned this a little while ago. But through me living by the golden rule and fixing all of my wrongs, I went and I apologized to people that I was mean to when I was younger. I went and I had given back to people I had taken things from. I had tried to right all of the wrongs that I have wronged, and then I tried to just be the good in the world. And eventually what that taught me is that how we treat ourselves is how we treat others, as well as how we treat ourselves is a direct reflection of how we treat the planet. So with the rule of karma and with the twin flame journey, it definitely is about that we are all connected. And how you feel and think about yourself is how you feel and think about everything else that is living, because we are all one force together. Now, self-love. Self-love, self-respect, and self-worth. This is like the pinnacle lesson here, the first foundational lesson that I believe that everyone has to learn going through this journey. And what that means is that you first like accept yourself for who you are. Our society is designed to make us feel like shit all the time. Like, it is purposely propaganda on our self-esteem as men and women. It's designed that way. Society uses our metaphysical skills and abilities against us. But we won't get into all that right now. So we have to learn to find the beauty in ourselves, despite, we might not be happy with our appearance, we might not be happy with our eating habits, but we have to learn to love ourselves as we are. You will never, first and foremost, you can never love someone. I strongly believe you do not and you cannot genuinely have real love for someone if you do not love yourself. I mean, you might have these feelings, but you won't have love. You might have a partner that has those feelings back towards you, but because you're lacking self-love, you are all the time sabotaging, unintentionally, your relationships. Because when we don't love ourselves, we have low self-esteem. When we have low self-esteem, when we have a partner, we're expecting our partner to fill these voids of what we're lacking within ourselves. Okay. Now self-worth too. We'll back up just to get self-worth. Okay. Now, something else about self-love is you have to also go down the path of healing yourself, and then you need to figure out who you really are. Because what we don't realize as a society is until we question our behavior, until we question the way we do things, then we aren't who our true selves are. Because first of all, as children, we pick up the habits, the behavioral traits of the people that raised us, and as well as our friends and stuff like that. And then when we get into high school, and then we have our friend groups, we're trying to fit in, we want to be cool, there's all these stereotypes, we get even more lost of who we really are, because now we already don't know who we really are. We're who we were raised to be by our families. Okay? And then we get into especially high school. Then we get into high school, and then we just want to be like cool. We don't want to be lame. We want to fit in, and so we fall into these stereotypes or what we think is cool with what is cool, and we get even more confused on who we really are. And it takes us to question, why do I like this? Why do I always react this way to this situation? Why do I feel this way about these type of people? And when you start asking yourselves questions about why you do and why you are the way that you are, then you will, I promise you will pinpoint what adult or what friend was that influence within your psychological process, your synapses being created, and you will see what came from who, okay? And then once you pick up these things, now this is like a really good example is of people who were raised in abuse, okay, and all kinds of abuse. And it takes someone to question, why are we like this? Why is this like this? To stop the cycle. Okay. So after you've asked yourself and you've done some really deep soul searching and trying to figure out what is you, and then molds what you are. Then you have to figure out what you want to do with your life, who you are, and what you stand for, what you believe in, and what do you want to do with this life that you have. And from here is where you will form your self-worth, okay? Because when you know who you are, and when you know what you want in life, and you have aspirations, goals, and ambitions, I promise you that you won't let anyone get in the way of that. No matter how cute they are, or no matter how just they look at you, or how much you would kill to be with so-and-so. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't even give much shits or a fuck because you've got goals and you've got a life that you're trying to use to its full potential, and you just won't tolerate placing yourselves around people, places, and things that are not direct reflections of who you really are and what you really want in life. And with that will come self-respect. When you have the capacity to be able to turn down old friends, or that capacity to be able to turn down a romantic budding relationship because this person's goals and your goals aren't the same. And so you can tell from a standpoint, when you know who you are, when you know what you want, and when you love yourself and you respect yourself, you can look at any partner, any viable partner, and you'll be able to tell the amount of longevity that is there. Especially if you're really ambitious, because you're probably going to be asking them what do they want to do with their lives. And so plain and simple. When you love yourself, you're not going to tolerate abuse. You're not going to tolerate negligence. You're not going to tolerate shitty quality relationships. You're just not. Like, at all. When you love yourself and you know what you're worth, then you won't settle for trash. You won't settle for fucking scrubs. Man and woman alike, you won't. And I mean that. I mean that. Now, the other lesson of unconditional love. The cosmic heart, I want to add in here. Okay. Now, the other really big pivotal lesson experience that comes with this experience is unconditional love. And what that means, really, I mean, okay, well, first it took me Vosh to learn unconditional love, because I really, really wanted to have a relationship with this person. And this person, and I actually have to give Vosh did not get into a stabilized relationship until 5 years after he left his high school relationship. And I respected that the whole time. I really did. He was about his goals, his ambitions. He knew what he wanted to do, and he wasn't ready to get into a relationship because he didn't have he wasn't where he wanted to be in life. And that's something else too. There will come this point in time of having this maturity, of recognizing that when you're a young adult, the worst time to hop into a relationship is when you don't know what you're doing with the rest of your life, when you don't know who you are. Because when you know all these things, and you'll just see that it's better to fulfill yourself, your wants, your dreams, and your ambitions before settling down into a relationship. Because when you settle with someone, and you're settling for the long haul, then you guys tend to get more homey. You tend to build a family. And when a family gets made, it's very fucking hard to still do the things that you could do before you had children, before you had a family. So, but now Vosh taught me unconditional love, because despite how much I was schoolgirl fucking crazy for Vosh for a very long time, he wasn't interested in me that way. And he was very hurt, actually, and he'd been through a lot, and he wasn't even ready to, he didn't want anything to do with that kind of commitment and trust with anyone. And so I loved Vosh so much as a person. He reminds me so much of myself in these creative ways. Granted, we're very different. I'm more reclusive, and he's way more extroverted. But, we have the same kind of creative energy. And what else is interesting is his birthday's the day after mine. So he's also born on the week of the empath as well. And I think that's why we had our experience out of all of my flame group, out of my soul family. Why I met Vosh first, and just because we were both the week of the empath. And we just both had the sixth sense to really be able to feel and understand the experience. So you're happy. But, so Vosh taught me unconditional love, because despite, how much I would have killed to have had a relationship with him. I didn't want to ruin our friendship, and I valued him as a person so much that I didn't care if I was with him or not. I just wanted him to be happy, even if it was without me. And I wanted to let him make his own choice and his own decisions and live his life how he wants to live it. Because I love him and I care about him, and he to this day is one of my best friends. Granted, we don't talk that often, but that is definitely like my brother right there. Like, I love him. And now it's not even romantic. Now it's in a full sibling, a soul sibling way. Like, there's no none of those extra hormonal feelings. But so I have to say, Vash taught me unconditional love with that. And then also with that, I was able to give this unconditional love to many people because I had learned it. Now, like with my high school sweetheart, he very much so tried to keep pursuing me. And then he would get mean and nasty and blah, blah, blah. But because I had spent 3 years of my life with him and I got to really know him as a person, I just had this unconditional love, and I still do. Anyone that's I've gotten close to. Okay, there's this quote, and it goes like this. It says that if you know anyone's story, if you know someone's story, I promise you'd fall in love with them. And I think that's some real shit. I feel like our society, we just judge way too much over, like, why we're different, why people are the way that they are, or yada, yada, yada. And instead of fucking listening to what people have to say, because I promise you, if you listen to people, if you give people the floor to speak, they will tell you why they are the way that they are. And the deeper bond and trust that's there, the more you understand and you'll learn about their childhood and their youth. I promise you, every person on this fucking planet, if you were to hear their entire story, from the time they were born up until now, hear all of the shit they have went through, I promise you, you would not blame them for who they are, no matter how fucked up they may be. Because if you map their life, there is going to be pivotal points where you can see that change them and morph them. Okay? And that's something else that comes with the values of unconditional love. Like, I definitely embody that on a collective scale for all, and I mean for all. Some people may get sippy and pissy, and they're like, "How can you say so and so?" You like Donald Trump as an example. I have to say, initially, I wasn't necessarily too fond of Trump, but it wasn't until my soul brother, he might get mad at me for this one, but who I met on the internet like a year ago, Kevin Hawkins, and he is such a Hailka, and the way that he goes in these light worker groups, and he annoys the shit out of people, but like he's got a strong fucking message, okay, and he asks these questions. They're pretty much rhetorical questions, honestly. But is Donald Trump worthy of forgiveness? Is so-and-so worthy of forgiveness? And, like, with this uproar and, like, controversy, I didn't necessarily like Trump just because I grew up as a teenager and heavily into conspiracies. And so I don't like politics, and it all just makes me uncomfortable because I know too much, but I still don't know everything. So I'm not really sure how everything in the politic realm actually goes. So I just don't like any of it. And I automatically just rejected just Trump. But no, like what Kevin's purpose in asking these questions is asking like questions as, if Jesus asked you to help the homeless, would you? Because that's what that man has done for as long as I've been born. Has been helping the homeless. Okay. And Kevin, don't be upset at me, but I love you and I respect you so much. And for real, someone needs to be talking about you because, like, I mean, you are a living example of the path, Kevin. You must. But so, like, with unconditional love you'll see that, like, okay, besides the fact, okay, now we're going to play in different worlds here, right? So first, with unconditional love, we see that we're all connected, that we are all one, okay? And you love thy neighbor as thyself, okay, the golden rule. 2, no matter what wrongs a human being has done in their life, if you know their story, their entire story, and if they allow you the permission to tell you their headspace through certain traumas, I promise you, you will not blame them for who they have become. Okay, I promise you. Alright, and then number three is where we get into the light worker realm, where we get into just being here on a mission, us being spiritual beings, okay? Us, which obviously the goal is to shift the vibrations of Gaia, of Earth, to, you can say whatever the hell you want, but I'm just going to use the Grand Portal. The Grand Portal is what I've been calling it. Some people may identify it as mass Christ consciousness, where the collective is at this point. Spirit Science has a beautiful, beautiful video talking about, it's their first movie. And it's about Atlantis and the reptilians and honestly Mars and why Mars looks so much like Earth, and it gives a story, backstory, and blah blah blah. But it talks about okay, wait. Okay, just what I'm getting at here is that okay, the Spirit Science video. Okay, with that, it talks about there was another point in time in history where we had to have another one of these missions that we are on right now, where we had to, like, ascend the consciousness, the collective consciousness, like, over 250,000 years quicker than what it would naturally accelerate and ascend to on its own accord. And we had done that. So, like, that's really neat and interesting. So, like, if you do resonate with being here on a mission and being here to raise vibrations of Gaia, then I highly recommend you go check out Spirit Science's first movie. Okay. Now, with that all being said, now something that light workers, that spiritual people need to understand is that we are all in this together. All of us, okay? Every single one of us, even the bad guys. When I first started awakening, there was someone in the Lightworker group. It was one, I don't remember who it was, but this was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I heavily have despised and hated the elites of the world. I mean, I was at 17 years old. My freedom of speech was non-existent at a point in time. So I've been a victim of trying to help educate the people, the masses of the elites, and I got in trouble. So anyways, I had a very strong vendetta, emotional vendetta against him, and I had seen someone in the Lightworker group, and they had made a reference that even the ones who are in these occults, these elite that are running the fucked up vile world we live in today, that they also too will awaken. Okay, and then I came into grips, and I started to learn and realize that there's always light and dark and dark and light. So that means that there has to be some parties of the elite that have awoken, and they're like, oh fuck, like I gotta like do something about this. And I know they are, because there's people. I rejected the music not the music industry. I rejected the media ultimately for very many years in my life, very, very, very many years. Like anyone who knows me personally knows this. And because I thought it was just all like mass control, and I didn't see any good in it. I thought it was all evil. But then I later started to notice that when I got pregnant with Phoenix, and I was at home all the time, and when I was 8 months old, 8 months pregnant, I started watching TV again, and I started to see that there is divinity in these programs. So that, in hindsight, despite the dark, there's still light in that dark. And I believe that same with the elite and the cults also. But something that we need to understand and realize is, like, every one of us plays a role, okay? In every story, you have the good guys and you have the bad guys. And it takes all of the guys to make the whole story, to make certain events happen, to have certain chain reactions, to have and allow the permission for certain very significant transformations to happen. Okay, so like we really need to understand and see, like to be humble within ourselves, to feel that a lot of spiritual people, they have this ego about their development, and with that ego, they feel that they're better than the masses. They feel like the masses are idiotic, that they are stupid. And I have never, since I awoken, and also too, I mean, I was exposed to extreme degrees of MK Ultra programming, and then was fucking harassed and threatened because I tried to exchange that information. So I saw how fucking real that shit was. So maybe that was why And then being a numerologist, I have 8 9s in my name, and that's a karmic lesson of compassion. So I do excel at giving compassion. There's that too. But I have always felt blessed, and we are all blessed to see through the system, to see through the cracks, to be awakened, and I mean that. And I do not take that lightly. Do not be condescending to the masses, to the unawakened. Do not belittle them in any way, shape, or form, even in the comfort with your friends, because it is wrong, and I mean that. We were not meant to break through this system. Granted, what is divine cannot be stopped, but I'm going to tell you that these people who created this system today knew what times we were coming. Think of Hercules, all right, and Hades, and how Hades was trying to take over with the Titans, but it had to be that one time, of that one day, and Hercules would stop him, okay? And he did everything he could, to try to stop Hercules. But in the end, the light never fails, okay? So, but they definitely went above and beyond to try to ensure that we would not wake up, that we would not fall out of the programmed system. Okay. We are blessed, and you better see it as a blessing, and have sympathy and empathy for the ones who are stuck in the system, who are stuck sleeping. Okay. Because that was supposed to be us. Alright. Okay, I feel like this is about it. I've opened up a lot of can of worms. Alright, namaste. Okay, if you guys have any questions, if you guys want me to do a certain specific video about anything, because I have opened up quite a few of my knowledge bases here in this one video. So, you guys comment below. Tell me what you want me to talk about next, or if there's certain topics, inquiries. Also, too, give me your experiences. Let me know, how did you stumble across the Twin Flame community? Like, what led you there? Alright, namaste, guys. I hope you have balance and whole vibrations, light and love, one world, one nation, one family, one soul.